very interesting. There have been an increase in UFO sightings in the past 2 years, and U.S. intelligence report is saying you've pushed for more disclosures about the UFO sightings when you were DNI head of the DNI. I want to know about that, and I also want to know about if there's any appetite in the government to finally release also the JFK files.
Well, when I became, shortly after I became the DNI in June of 2020, I was the first one to publicly acknowledge that there was a unidentified aerial phenomenon task force through the Senate Intelligence Committee, because I wanted there to be greater transparency to the American people about the number of sightings of things that are unexplained. And I know everyone gets caught up on alien life and all of that, but my concern as the Director of National Intelligence was, if anyone, foreign adversary, regardless of how you define foreign adversary, have technologies that the United States don't have, we need to find out more about that. And what we found that was Navy pilots and Air Force pilots were, discouraged from reporting that. They thought that it would impair their careers. We need to have information if there are technologies out there, and very clearly, as this most recent report reveals, the sightings are increasing, which is a good thing because that means we're getting more honest reporting from our Navy and Air Force pilots. But it gives us more information. We need to find out when there are, and there very clearly are now, hundreds of unexplained sightings, meaning that there's no natural phenomenon involved, there's no visual disturbance, it's not clutter or debris or birds or anything else, but objects that demonstrate technologies that seem to defy the law of physics and capabilities that we don't have as the world's superpower. Our role in the federal government is to provide for the common defense, and we can't do that if someone else has technologies that are better than we have. So all of this is a very, a good development from my perspective, and I'm glad that they're pursuing some of the things that I was pushing as DNI. Your second question with regard to other classified information, I don't want to disclose conversations with former President Trump, but he did want to declassify the documents surrounding the Kennedy assassination, and there was some pushback at different levels, and ultimately he made the decision not to do it at that period of time. But obviously there's a lot of documentation out there of different things that I think the American people deserve to know about.
Yeah. We need to restore confidence in our institutions, and I think transparency and some truth-telling and treating us like adults and citizens who are in charge of our government as opposed to servants.
Well, that's true.
Would work.
So, John, treat us like an adult here. You've seen the intel. It's January 15th in the year 2023. Are aliens real?
Good.
Well, I can't talk to you about, any potential alien life. So I'll just leave it at that.
There you go. What does that answer say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So that's funny because the first answer he gave about it made me think maybe there was a foreign government that had the technology. But now I'm thinking, this is
You wish we'd put our pajamas back on right now?
or our tinfoil hats.
Yeah, he's like, I'm never coming back ever again. John Ratcliffe, thanks for your service to the country.
Yeah,
thanks for indulging us this morning. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right.
Great to see y'all.
Great seeing you too.
John, you have seen in your role the most intelligence that anybody has seen other than the president as the Director of National Intelligence. And I've been wanting to ask you this next question for a while. I want to ask you about UFOs, unidentified flying objects. The Pentagon is going to come out with a report by June 1st. And in the $2.3 trillion omnibus appropriations legislation passed in January, it includes the Intelligence Authorization Act, money for the Pentagon to continue investigating UFOs. John, we're going to get this report June 1st. Can you tell us, have unidentified flying objects been seen?
Well, sure. We have lots of reports about what we call unidentified aerial phenomenon. And this actually is a program that's been in place for a few years in terms of a task force that has been there under the National Defense Authorization Act. But as you correctly point out, Maria, there's now a report that will be issued by the Pentagon, by the Secretary of Defense, and the Director of National Intelligence. I actually wanted to get this information out and declassified before I left office, but we weren't able to get it down into an unclassified format that we could talk about quickly enough. But frankly, there are a lot more sightings than have been made public. Some of those have been declassified. When we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery that frankly engage in actions that are difficult to explain, that movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for, or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without a sonic boom. So in short, things that we are observing that are difficult to explain. And so, there's actually quite a few of those, and I think that information is being gathered and will be put out in a way that the American people can see. We always, when we see these things, Maria, we always look for a plausible explanation. Weather can cause disturbances, visual disturbances. Sometimes we wonder whether or not our adversaries have technologies that are a little bit further down the road than we thought or that we realized. But there are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of the things that we've seen. And, when that information becomes declassified, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
Can you tell us where it was seen?
Actually, all over the world. There have been sightings all over the world. And when we talk about sightings, the other thing I will tell you is it's not just a pilot or just a satellite or some intelligence collection. Usually we have multiple sensors that are picking up these things. And so, again, some of this are just they're unexplained phenomenon. And there's actually quite a few more than have been made public. So I think it'll be healthy for as much of this information to get out there as possible so that the American people can see some of the things that we've been dealing with.
Okay, well, that is pretty extraordinary. We so appreciate that you're talking to us about this. Can this year get any weirder? Pandemic, shutdown, UFOs. John Ratcliffe, it's great to see you.